Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, England's adopted son, Joe Habib. And we have a great show for you today. And if you want to call, ask some questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 8:30 or 9 tonight. And today, we're going to talk about Dillian Whyte test positive for some banned substances. We'll catch you up on the latest here. And Jesse Benavides gets arrested for drag racing. It's not a typo. He got arrested for drag racing. But first, we get started with Gervonta Davis versus Ricardo Nunez for Davis's WBA junior lightweight title. This was a quick one, man, and anybody thought that it was going to be a long, drawn-out fight, well, you were wrong. Gervonta Davis definitely wasn't getting paid by the hour here. He retains his WBA title with a second-round TKO over Ricardo Nunez. You know, it started in the second round, I mean, it was a left hook that staggered Nunez. He landed another left hook shot against the ropes that was just wicked. I mean, this guy, it reminded me, if you guys ever saw the Felix Trinidad Yuri Boy Campos fight, where he launched that shot and his head just snapped back. He looked like he was getting shot, man. That was the shot it looked like. It was a left hook. He hit him square on his head, square on his chin. His head snapped back. I mean, those are shots you don't even like to see, man. That shot, it could have been stopped right after that. A few more shots by Davis, and then the referee jumped in and stopped the fight. Nunez was the mandatory here. Now that he's out of the way, maybe this paves the way for a bigger fight. I think we'd all like to see Davis in a bigger fight here. Nunez was not the guy we were all hoping for. You got guys out there, so hopefully he steps up and gets a bigger fight. According to Leonard Ellerby, though, there was over 14,000 in attendance there. I think it was 14,500 if I'm not mistaken, but it was over 14,000. And that's a significant amount of people. That's a lot of people. UFC 240 took place in Canada last night, and they had over 12,000, just a little over 12,000 there. So Gervonta Davis boxing outdrew him last night with 14,000, and so I mean that's a great number. I mean, he's very popular there, and hopefully they can run with it. Beeb, what are your thoughts on Gervonta Davis, and what are your thoughts on him going forward as far as who does he get next? Who should he target next? And I mean, are the fights out there, feasible for him, or are they on the other side of the street?
A lot of them are on the other side of the street. I mean, you got Jamal Herring, who's a top-ranked fighter. You also got Berchelt. Is Berchelt with Top Rank, or is he with Golden Boy? I think he's with Top Rank as well, right, Berchelt?
I thought he was with Golden Boy, but you could be right.
He may be with Golden Boy.
It's one of those two, yeah.
So now there's talk about, you have guys like Gamboa, maybe guys like Leo Santa Cruz jumping up, and Gamboa would probably have to come down a few pounds, or Leo Santa Cruz would have to come up a few pounds to fight at 130. And they were talking about Ramirez, who basically was a featherweight, and he was going to have to come up to 130 to fight Davis. But I have a feeling probably they'll make the Gamboa fight. It seems like they're moving really slow with Davis. He's young. How old's Davis? Like 20, 21, 22-ish?
Yeah, he's fairly young. I mean,
so they're going slow with him. But the unfortunate thing about that is, once you strap a belt around a fighter's waist, the expectations are going to be a lot higher than if he wasn't a champion. And I know back when Canelo first won his title at junior middleweight, and I criticized the opponent and this and that. And for a little while there, they were moving him slowly until they decided to step him up. And when they did step him up, he fought everybody. So we're just waiting for that time where, they feel comfortable. Mayweather Promotions, Leonard Ellerby, Al Heyman, they feel comfortable stepping him up. I mean, he's got some decent guys on his record. I mean, Cuellar wasn't a bad fighter. Fonseca's a decent fighter. But caught these guys pretty much on the tail end of their careers. I think he needs a breakthrough, high-profile fight to really take himself to that next level. Because they're talking about him being a pay-per-view star. And with all due respect, I don't know if you're going to be a pay-per-view star, coming off of fighting your last two opponents. I mean, yeah, that looks great, but you could just tell how overmatched he is. And at what point do people start saying, I'm really not interested in watching Gervonta Davis fight until he steps up and fights someone who's a threat? Who wants to watch a fight? We already know the outcome. And we talked about, obviously if you're going to fight a couple times a year, not all the fights are going to be, they're not always going to be the top of the iron there, top level guys. Every now and then you got to put a stay busy fight in there. But this guy's had some string of stay busy fights now in a row. I know this was his mandatory, so we kind of give him a pass on this one. But now with the next fight, we should expect someone better, with all due respect, than Nunez. But I do have a feeling it's going to be Gamboa. And I don't know how I feel about that right now. I mean, Gamboa looked dynamic last night, but again, 37 years old, not what he once was. Very fast. When he brings his A game, he has a style that can trouble a lot of guys because of his hand speed and his foot speed. And he looked like he was able to turn back the clock last night against a pretty decent guy. Him and Martinez are pretty much on the same level, and they're at the same point in their careers. But the thing is this: Davis is really a strong, explosive kid. He'll probably be a lot bigger and stronger than Gamboa come fight night. Well, you would only think that he would probably be able to impose his will on Gamboa, because Gamboa, like I said, as fast and quick as he is, I don't think he has the firepower that Davis has. So I would definitely favor Davis in that fight. But again, unless he crosses the street, which they don't seem very keen on doing right now, a Burchelt fight would be a great fight. Tevin Farmer fight would be a great fight. I think that's a great matchup, and that's a very winnable fight for him. Both those fights are very winnable, so I don't know what the holdup is, unless they just really don't want to do business with DAZN or Golden Boy, unless they want to keep everything in house, which it seems like they're trying to do right now. We may not see him in there with a top level guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I don't want to see the Gamboa fight at all. I think we know how that ends. I don't think Gamboa has a real shot in there. And when I was talking about up in his competition, Gamboa is not who I had in mind.
No.
Leo Santa Cruz has called him out. Leo Santa Cruz said he wants to fight him in September. That was last week. I don't know that fight's going to happen, but who knows? Tevin Farmer is a good choice. Jamel Herring is a good choice. Burchelt's a good choice. Any one of the champions right now is a good choice. They're all winnable fights. I mean, Tank may be the best in the division.
Yeah.
I mean, he just might be. We won't know until he gets in the ring with these guys. But he's gonna end up. I agree with you. He's probably gonna end up fighting Gamboa. That's not the fight I want to see, though. I mean, nobody wants to see that fight, right? I mean, it's not good. It's the outcome already. And if they're talking about making this guy a pay-per-view star, great. Start fighting somebody, because I'm not paying for Gamboa, and nobody's going to pay for Nunez. You got plenty of guys. You got plenty of named guys here. Let's step this up, man. So that's my feeling on Gervonta Davis again, man. He looks good. Looks real good and everything like that. Had a lot of people in attendance. But again, 14,000. How many does that place hold? Do we know? Was it like a big arena, like a 20,000 seater, or what? I don't know. So we'll see. And I think we lost. Did we lose Beeb? Beeb, are you there? I think we lost to Beeb. All right, let me see if we can get him back on here. But going back to it anyway, like I said, man, Gervonta Davis, he passes the eye test. I want to see him fight better guys. Would you guys like to see him fight Leo Santa Cruz, though? I think that's another thing. Santa Cruz, I think, obviously Gervonta would be favored. It's a big name on his resume. The thing is, man, with Santa Cruz, he's coming up in weight. Gervonta would probably be the favorite. Santa Cruz is busy. He's going to be right in his chest all night. It's a good fight. I think it's a good style matchup for Davis. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better opponent for me for Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. It's a name guy. There you go. Now, again, whether that happens or not, man, your guess is about as good as mine. So I don't know. Incidentally, Eddie Hearn was in attendance. Oh, actually, no, we're gonna skip that. I saw Gary Russell's name. That's why I thought of Eddie Hearn. So we'll talk about that on the next segment. Beeb, what are your thoughts on the Santa Cruz Davis fight if that comes about?
I think Santa Cruz has a style that could be problematic. He has the ability to possibly outwork Davis, but you have to ask yourself what happens if Davis lands that big left hand. Well, Santa Cruz is a pretty durable guy. He's in shape. So I don't hate that fight at all. I think it's a very intriguing matchup.
I think it's a great fight.
Yeah.
I think it's a great fight. I think he's custom made. I personally think that he's custom made for Davis. I think he's custom made for Davis because he's going to be in your chest.
But keep in mind, we look at Santa Cruz and we think he's this aggressive guy that just throws a lot of punches. But he boxed in the Maurice fight. And he boxed very well in the second Frampton fight. So the guy has some boxing ability. So it would be interesting to see if he switches things up. I'm sure he's going to be aggressive at times, but I'm sure he's going to box a little bit more knowing that Tank has that power too. And Tank's always been able to cut the ring off against guys, but let's see if he can do it against a guy who's as quick and as athletic and in shape as a Santa Cruz. So that because of those things, I think the fight's very intriguing, in my opinion.
So let me ask you a question. This has been going around. I heard this last night. I saw this on a couple of posts and everything like that. Earthquake in the chat mentioned it. Do you think that fight was stopped premature last night? I thought it was stopped late. I thought it could have been stopped when that shot that landed that snapped his head back. That fight should have been stopped.
Yeah, he was hurt.
And for sure. That guy, and you know what? He's going to get hurt if he keeps taking those shots. You know what I mean?
He was.
So, that was a bad, like that was brutal. Watching that thing was brutal, man. That wasn't.
It was tough.
Cupcake stoppage, man. That was bad.
No, I have no problem with this stoppage last night.
No, not at all. None at all. So, but Gervonta looked good, man. Gervonta looked good, but again, let's see him step it up, man. He's got to step it up. And again, wanting the big fight, but we think Gamboa's next. Speaking of Gamboa, Yuriokis Gamboa versus Roman Rocky Martinez, 10 rounds lightweights. Gamboa wins via second round TKO. Gamboa just had his way with Martinez last night, knocked him down twice, and the second knockdown, the fight was stopped. You mentioned that Gamboa looked like he turned back the hands of time here. And I know Rocky Martinez isn't Rocky Martinez of old, but, Gamboa's not his, he's not the Gamboa of old either. After the fight, he immediately called out Davis. What were your thoughts on Gamboa? I mean, does he have one more fight? I mean, does he have that fight left in him to be competitive against Davis?
Well, when you look at Gamboa, it seems like when he really focuses and fights the right fight, like even in the Crawford fight, he was heavily the underdog in that fight, in the Crawford fight, and I think he was winning the fight before he got stopped. So the guy can fight. He has skills. There's been times where he's kind of underestimated his opponent. There's been times where he's had long bouts of inactivity, and there's been times when he's had promotional problems, and there's been a lot of turmoil in his career. But if he settles in with PBC and he's got a clear head and he's focused, I know 37 isn't young, but again, 37 could be the new 27 in today's day and age. We've seen that with guys who are 40, like with Manny Pacquiao last week. So, Gamboa looks like he takes care of himself, looks like he's in shape. Obviously, he definitely knows how to fight. So, I don't want to get too crazy right now and, go out and buy a Yuriorkis Gamboa t-shirt, but I don't want to write him off 100% yet either. Because every time you do write the guy off, he does pull a rabbit out of the hat, like he did last night. And you can argue that Martinez isn't the greatest fighter in the world or whatever. Maybe could have been tailor-made. He was at a disadvantage with hand speed and foot speed and all that. But no one expected Gamboa to blow him out of there in 2 rounds. I mean, that's just not how Gamboa operates. And Martinez is generally a durable guy. He'll get knocked down in a fight, but he'll get back up and he'll continue. So he hangs in there with guys. No one blows him out in 2 rounds, So because of all that, I mean, you got to give Gamboa credit for the way that fight played out and turned out, because he looked razor sharp last night. Looked razor sharp.
Yeah, he did. And, I think he could probably give I think ultimately Davis gets him, and I think Davis knocks him out. Maybe he gives him a couple of problems. Maybe he gives him a little bit of problems early.
Yeah.
But, it's tough to see him getting by Davis.
It's hard to envision him beating Davis. I'm not saying that, it's not like I haven't been wrong before with my picks, but this is one that I would feel pretty confident on,
And this was in Baltimore last night, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
I believe it was in Baltimore or something like that. Yeah. So I wonder if it was at that new casino they built or whatever over there. Because they've had a lot of fights in Baltimore.
Yeah, he's got a nice following down there too. They come out for him.
But yeah, I tell you, to pack over 14,000 in there, that's impressive.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I mean, what did Deontay Wilder put in his hometown? Like 12?
Yeah, but
maybe 10
that's
or 12?
pretty good in New York though too. He's got like an adopted home of New York at the Barclays. Yeah. So.
No, I'm not saying his numbers are bad at all. I'm just saying 14,000. That's a good number wherever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's that.
That's solid.
If you're asking me if it's a better showing than Deontay Wilder's hometown, yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Without question.
Yeah, for sure.
Without question.
Yeah. And but in Wilder's defense though, some towns, I mean, Alabama's, that's a football.
Yeah,
place, you know what I mean? They're not really big on boxing there.
Yeah, not every area is big on boxing,
Yeah. Ohio's the same way. I mean, with Cincinnati's really the same way. Like I said, when Bronner comes out, I mean, he was getting like 5. I mean, but he wasn't drawing like 10,000 or anything like that. I mean, he was drawing a solid 5. Maybe 7.
Well, we got that new casino that just popped up over here, and Massachusetts really wasn't a big boxing town since Marvin Hagler retired. So let's see what happens now that we have that casino, because they've been having some smaller cards down there. Let's see if they can get a big level fight down there and see if we can get some attention on the sport of boxing in Massachusetts because of that casino that was just built.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be really good. Now I know obviously it's Boston. Marvin Hagler was very popular there, but like Aaron Pryor, I remember when Aaron Pryor was real popular in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't. It wasn't like a crazy. It still wasn't like a crazy boxing town. I mean, his numbers still weren't great here.
Really.
Yeah, like when Hagler was fighting in like in Boston and stuff like that, or in Massachusetts, where his numbers pretty good. They came out to support him and stuff.
Well, I mean, he didn't fight here very often, but people did know who he was, and he got a lot of press here. He got a lot of press. So.
I think that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Is for local fighters and stuff. And I don't know how Gervonta Davis is with this, but I think that's more I know like here, Bronner doesn't talk to the press. Yeah. He gets like no coverage of his fights ever.
Hagler always talked to the press. Mickey Ward talked to the press. He'd go on a lot of radio shows and stuff. He's from Lowell. Yeah. He's from Lowell, Mass. So
that's what a lot of these guys don't
get. Yeah, you got to do press. If you don't do press, you're not going to get the attention.
No. Why would they? Why would you? Nobody knows about it. They're the ones that spread the word,
Yeah. Got to do press.
Jezreel Corrales on the undercard here versus Ladarius Miller, 10 rounds lightweights. Ladarius Miller won a split decision over Corrales by the scores of 96-93 for Corrales and 95-94 and 96-93 for Miller. So there you go. All right, let's talk about the main card on DAZN here. The main one, Beeb, did a live cast on this last night, and I hope everybody went out there to support him. And if you didn't, go out there, give him some likes and everything like that. He did a great job last night on that commentary, man. Did awesome. Maurice Hooker versus Jose Ramirez for the WBO, the WBC unified title here. Junior welterweights, man. Ramirez knocked Hooker down in the first round and then finished him in the sixth with a flurry. He is now your new WBO, WBC junior welterweight champion. Beeb, this was a close fight. This was closer than anticipated. Was that really a knockdown in the first round?
No, and even Ramirez said after the fight, when they were both together and they were being interviewed, he said that Ramirez himself said that wasn't a knockdown. He said it wasn't. And I kind of knew right when it happened it wasn't a knockdown. And then when I watched the replay, I clearly knew it wasn't a knockdown. I clearly stepped on his foot because it didn't even look like the punch landed. You know? So I think the referee missed that one. Definitely.
Were you surprised? I was surprised that that Ramirez won this fight, given the fact, I mean, it was in, obviously if you're going to win it, that's the way to win it, but it was in right there in Hooker's backyard. I mean, he was the fan favorite. Yeah. He was definitely the favorite going in that fight. I thought that Hooker was going to win via decision. Yeah. I was shocked at the result.
Well, the odds were close. It was like almost a 50-50 fight. And here's the thing. I thought Hooker going in was the better boxer. Then I had some people say, well, what do you mean he's the better boxer? Ramirez can box too. I never said Ramirez couldn't box. I never said Ramirez didn't have skill. I just thought Hooker was just a little bit more skilled in terms of the boxing department. You know?
Isn't it funny how you say something like that and automatically, like if you say this guy can box really well, that the other guy sucks, doesn't mean that at all. It just means this guy's
never said that. But the one thing that impressed me about Ramirez is the adjustments he made in this fight. Because he was getting hit with the right hand on occasion. So then he started moving his head a little bit more, and he was getting down lower, and he was making himself more of a compact target. And as he was coming in, he started throwing feints. Okay, so he showed me a lot of different wrinkles to his game, because a lot of times I see him come forward and be that aggressive guy. But he was still doing that last night. But while he was doing it, he was giving Hooker different looks. He was throwing a jab, and then he would throw a 3-punch combination with the same hand, which is very hard to do. And he was doing it very effortlessly, very smoothly, very just very fluently. He was doing it. And he'd throw the jab, then he'd go downstairs to the body, and then he'd come up with the uppercut, and then he'd come with the hook. And there was times he'd throw the jab and go right to the body. Other times he'd throw the jab and hook off to the head with it. And then sometimes he'd throw the jab and come up underneath with a 45. So he kept changing his attack, kept moving his head. Then he started coming in on angles, started stepping around. And, when he pinned Hooker to the ropes, he always made sure that he touched him, whether it be to the body, whether it be to the head. And not every time he landed flush, but it didn't discourage him from moving his hands and working on the inside. And Hooker, at points, was doing well, too, with his jab, and he was controlling the range in spots, and he landed some good right hands himself, and he would land a good right hand and come follow with a left hook himself. But the thing was once Ramirez saw himself get hit with a combination, he would make that adjustment to make sure he didn't get hit with it again. So he kept changing the looks. He was very cognizant of what Hooker was doing in there, and he was just very unpredictable. And that was why I think he was such a handful for Hooker last night, because I don't think Hooker could anticipate what he was going to do. Going in, you knew the left hook was a big weapon of his. But the thing was, the way he was setting it up last night in a variety of ways, and the way he was using the jab and the feints to set up those hooks to the body and head were beautiful. So I thought he fought a phenomenal fight last night. And Hooker fought a good fight himself too. But again, every time Hooker started gaining momentum, Ramirez switched it up a little bit, changed things up, went to plan B and C, and he was able to dissect Hooker and take him apart with those power shots in the end. So that was a great fight.
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting, man. Like I said, I didn't expect, was, in your opinion, was the power the big difference here?
Yes.
Because boxing ability alone, I mean, they were both, like I said, really good boxers. I put, like, Hooker as a notch above, but I'm wondering, like I said, was the power then must have been the big difference?
Well, I always knew going in that Ramirez was the bigger puncher, probably the more physically stronger guy, but I thought Hooker's skill and just the way he's really rangy, and he's got a really tricky jab himself too, always changing the rhythm of that jab, and off-speed jabs and a lot of feints he throws to set that jab up himself. He's a tricky customer himself. I just thought he'd be a little bit too crafty for Ramirez. I thought he would nullify his strengths with his craftiness, which wasn't the case last night.
Right. Now, on the undercard here, Tevin Farmer versus Guillaume?
Yeah.
Frenois? I don't know, some French dude. Anyway, for Farmer's IBF junior lightweight title, Farmer wins a unanimous decision over Frenois by the scores of 119-108 and 116-111 twice. Farmer had a low blow, had a point deducted for low blows in the middle of the fight. Just kind of an average fight, man. Farmer is a really technically he's a very good fighter. Now I know like Frenois made a charge here at the end, but it really is, man. It's like he's a very technically sound fighter. Does he? I mean, if him and Tank got together, what do you think happens in that fight?
The problem is he's a Philly fighter. I hate to use the old stereotype, but there is spots in the fight where he does sit down and trade with guys sometimes. And if he does that with Tank, it'll be interesting to see if he can stand up to the power. I just have a hard time envisioning any of these guys. I think Tank has a shot to beat Lomachenko because he's just so explosive and strong and powerful. So I can see Farmer maybe winning a round here and there, but I think he gets stopped in the middle rounds against Davis, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know that Tank. I mean, Tank clearly has a shot against Lomachenko. Does he have a puncher's chance? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But that's a tough.
Oh, it won't be easy, but I kind of think Tank may be able to deal with Lomachenko, or eventually be able to deal with him as he progresses in his career.
And Tank, yeah. JC in the chat said Tevin Farmer is looks like Little Debo.
He most certainly does. It's hilarious. He does, though.
He does, man. He looks dead on that guy. Joel Lopez says Tevin Farmer makes me want to go to sleep. Yeah, I mean, he's like I said, man. He's not the most exciting guy out there, but I mean, he wins convincingly. He wins convincingly. All right, let's go to the phones here. 530, you're live.
Hello, guys. It's Ringside Robert.
Robbie.
How are you?
What's happening, my man?
Well, it's been a crazy week.
We got to give you an intro, man. We got to give you an intro.
It's been. Speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't want you guys to change anybody's intro, man. I mean, that Jason intro is a classic. It took you a while to create it. Let's leave everybody, even though I'm no longer hosting, let's leave everybody's intro.
It actually took me 30 seconds to create it.
You know?
But anyway. I don't think Jason deserves such a sound intro anyway.
Anyway, no, I've had a crazy week. My mom's in the hospital, so it's been one of those kind of things, but I'm been doing my best to keep up with stuff. I'm very happy with Jose Ramirez. I didn't think he would win that fight, because I thought Hooker would be better, but I was genuinely surprised when I heard that he actually won. But I don't think he's going to get past either Regis Prograis or Josh Taylor, because that's who he would be most likely lined up to fight next, and depending on who wins that fight. Now, I don't see. Look, I love Jose, but I don't see him getting past either one of those two. As far as Tank Davis is concerned, no more squash matches, and the Gamboa fight would not be interesting for very long. I mean, Father Time is undefeated, and when is it going to take effect on Gamboa? Luckily for Gamboa, he had somebody in the ring that was on a worse banana peel than he was. So, but I have a feeling if the PBC wants to keep things in-house, that's the easiest fight to make. I don't know if Santa Cruz would want to go up to 130 unless he's having difficulty making 126, because, people don't like to give away titles unless they become franchise champions, which is absolutely ridiculous. But, I don't know. I feel bad for Tank because he deserves to fight all the other champions. But considering where all the other champions are located as far as networks and promotional deals, I don't know if he'll get a shot at any of the other champions with the way things are set up. Tank is kind of like in the Terrence Crawford realm, except it's reversed. Crawford is on the ESPN side of the street, and the other guys are on the PBC side. Tank is on the PBC side, and all the other champions are elsewhere. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I have a feeling he's going to get Gamboa, and we'll have the same kind of result as we did last night. Maybe it might last a few more rounds, but we all know how that's going to end.
Very good, man. Very good. Do you think, what are your thoughts on a possible Leo Santa Cruz Tank Davis fight? Leo Santa Cruz called him out last week.
You know what? I like Leo in that fight. People may think I'm crazy, but I think Leo has been a champion longer. He's taken it more seriously. I mean, look, Tank had the weight issue when he had the title the first time around and lost the title on the scale. I think if push came to shove in an actual fight with level against level, Santa Cruz has been in tougher fights. I think Leo would win if the two of them ever fought.
There you go. There you go. Robert, sounding off, baby. He's letting you know what's up. Letting you know, man.
Yeah.
All right, my man. We're going to go ahead and get to some other callers, man, and we will catch you later, man.
Thanks, Robbie.
Thanks, guys. All right.
All right, man.
Thanks, Robbie.
Oh, my goodness. Let's see here. All right, let's go to, actually, you know what? Before we go into any other caller, let's go to the upcoming fights here. And so if you guys are online, just hang tight. Robert gets preferential treatment. That's the way it goes. All right, so let's talk about the upcoming fights here. August 1st, I guess that's in a couple of days here, from Monroe, Pennsylvania. It's a UFC Fight Pass card. So if you guys have UFC Fight Pass, you'll be able to watch it. Eric Walker versus Jose Antonio Abreu, 8 rounds junior middleweights. So go check that one out. August 2nd on UFC Fight Pass. They're getting a lot of fights on UFC Fight Pass. I heard like Roy Jones. Didn't Roy Jones' company sign with them or something like that?
Yeah, he signed with UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple other smaller ones they're getting. On August 2nd, Eva Wallstrom versus Ronica Jeffrey, 10 rounds for Wallstrom's WBC Women's Junior Lightweight title. So there you go. If you like the ladies, you can go watch that. August 2nd, from Florida on Telemundo, Yomar Alamo versus Miguel Angel Martinez, 10 rounds junior lightweights. Let's see here. This CP Knockout. All right, so from Bangkok, Thailand, August 2nd. All right, knockout CP Freshmart versus RR Andales for CP's WBA strawweight title. Now, knockout CP Freshmart obviously is not his real name, and I can't remember what do we know him by?
I can't remember.
I can't remember.
They changed their names a lot, though.
Nobody's watching him. Yeah, why? That sounds like, that's clearly not his name. I wonder if that's like
no, it's a sponsor. That's what they do. They have like someone sponsor them, and then they take the name of them.
Yeah. Okay.
They do that a lot.
August 2nd on DAZN from Liverpool, England, Anthony Fowler versus Brian Rose, 10 rounds junior middleweights. Lewis Ritson versus Joe Hughes, 10 rounds junior welterweights. Jack Cullen versus John Harding Jr., 10 rounds middleweights. And let's see what we got here. August 3rd on ESPN Plus from Belfast, Northern Ireland, Michael Conlon versus Diego Alberto Ruiz, 10 rounds featherweights. On the undercard, Paddy Gallagher versus Chris Jenkins, 12 rounds for the vacant Commonwealth welterweight title. August 3rd on Fox from New York, Adam Konoski versus Chris Arreola, 10 or 12 rounds. They're not sure yet. Heavyweights. Should be a decent fight. Andre Berto versus Miguel Cruz, 10 rounds welterweights. How about Berto still fighting? How about that?
Amazing.
Marcus Brown versus Jean Pascal, 12 rounds for Brown's WBA interim light heavyweight title.
Aye.
I'm with you. Let's see if we got anything else here. Nope, nothing else this weekend. So, light weekend for boxing. The big headliner will be Konoski versus Arreola. I think Konoski washes Arreola. Arreola looked all right in his last fight. Looked like he got in better shape than he had been for a long time. I'm just kind of asking myself why he did it then versus the fight against Klitschko. Why he didn't choose to get in shape then. But, hey, whatever. Beeb, Andre Berto, and Jean Pascal. How about those two are still fighting? How about that?
It worries me a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Seriously. And Jean Pascal against Marcus Brown, that's a
very tough fight for him. Fight. Marcus Brown's a young lion right now.
Killer.
Yes. He's no joke.
Saw what he did about
He's no joke.
You saw what he did about Jack. And that was a pick'em fight. He smashed him.
Yeah.
That fight wasn't even close.
No, I agree.
And Andre Berto fighting Miguel Cruz, that's another one that bothers me, man. Andre Berto's been around the block. There's no reason for this guy to be fighting anymore. His best days were behind him when he fought Floyd Mayweather. It wasn't like he was, at the peak of his career, at the peak of his boxing career. You know what I mean? He was on the slide then because everybody laughed at him. He said, "Who are you fighting?" He said, "I'm fighting Berto or I'm fighting Kareem Mayfield. Those are the two guys I'm fighting." Now you're talking about Floyd Mayweather here. Those are the two he was going to pick for his last fight or whatever. And everybody laughed because it was like, there's no way you're fighting those guys. And sure enough, he fought one of those guys. And because both those guys were not on the level, and to see this guy still around, it's like you said, it's concerning.
Very concerning.
Like, I don't know, man. That's tough.
Makes me nervous.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. So the big news this week, and we're going to jump right into this. Dillian Whyte tests positive for some banned substances. All right. This is right after the Rivas fight, and this one, I tell you what, man, and Beeb, I'm gonna let you rant here in a second. This is a tough one. This is a tough one for me to swallow, man. So here's what I got here. The A sample was taken from Dillian Whyte, tested positive for one or more banned substances prior to Whyte's July 20th fight in London against Oscar Rivas. It's being reported that test results came in on July 17th, 3 days before the big fight. Whyte was cleared to fight by the British Boxing Board of Control, the BBBC. Eddie Hearn last night answered some questions. He was with the DAZN fights, promoting those. Eddie Hearn answered some questions about the situation last night. He stated that both fighters were under VADA and UCAD testing. Hearn said that when UCAD found out about the positive test, they held a hearing with Whyte and his reps. Hearn said he was not present at the meeting. Since Whyte didn't fail the VADA test, Rivas' side was not notified, which apparently is standard practice in UCAD that they don't notify the other side. Apparently, Dianabol metabolites was the substance he tested positive for. The rules apparently are a little bit different when it comes to notifying your opponent with UCAD and everything like that. Beeb did a video on this earlier in the week. If you guys have not checked it out, go check it out. Beeb, I've been on vacation. Beeb has been carrying me all week this week, so he's done some really good work, especially on a big news week like this week. Beeb, run us down on this. What did you find out, and tell us your opinions on it.
Well, Eddie Hearn's 100% correct. He was well within his rights to put this fight on. He had no authority really to stop the fight because the UCAD had cleared Dillian Whyte. The problem I have with Eddie Hearn is he's basically, I'm not going to say he's defending UCAD, but it sounds hypocritical because he went so far in on Jarrell Miller. Like when Jarrell Miller tested positive, he said, well, he tested positive. We're waiting for the B sample to come back. But usually when the A sample isn't good, the B sample comes back the same as the A. So the B sample for Dillian Whyte has not even come back yet. And Eddie Hearn just seems like he's okay with the process. Now, just because you followed the process doesn't mean you have to be okay with the process. He could have came out and said, well, this is basically a UCAD issue. Dillian Whyte did do what they asked him to do. They did clear him. But I honestly don't know, if there's something going on, if he did test positive for this issue. I don't know if he's guilty or he's not guilty. But he seems as like he has no problem with the process. Now, with the WBC, when Dillian Whyte wasn't getting his title shot, the WBC was following the process because he wasn't the mandatory. So he had no problem criticizing the WBC's policy. So obviously you're not going to shoot yourself in the foot if it's your fight or you're promoting the show. But standing on a soapbox and kind of like defending yourself and not really being critical of this, because you have to look at the big picture here. The system is broken. UCAD caught Tyson Fury after his fight with Christian Hammer in 2015 for a banned substance. I think it was nandrolone, if I'm not mistaken. It took them 2 years to complete the investigation process before they suspended him in 2017 after his fight with Klitschko. So, if this fight, you have to ask yourself, if this incident happened in the United States, would this fight have been able to go on? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The commission would not have allowed it because the same thing happened with Billy Joe Saunders. Because he was tested positive for a substance that is allowed by UCAD. UCAD allows the substance during training, but they just don't allow it during fight night. So, in Jarrell Miller's case, they caught him early. VADA caught him early, so it's a bit different. But the Billy Joe Saunders case is very similar because he tested positive a couple days before the fight for this substance. Now, Eddie Hearn was like, oh, well, he shouldn't be fighting then. He shouldn't have the drug in the system, whatever. But it's very similar to the Dillian Whyte situation because if the fight was in the UK and UCAD was in charge of the testing and everything, they would have cleared Billy Joe Saunders to fight. And I wonder if Eddie Hearn would have had the same reaction that he had, with the Dillian Whyte situation. So my whole problem is not necessarily with Eddie Hearn, it's with the system itself. So you don't have to tell the WBC who's sanctioning the fight. You don't have to tell the opponent because they're not coming out and saying with 100% certainty that Dillian Whyte did nothing wrong. They're investigating it. So if you're still investigating the problem, then why would you clear him to fight? What? And then why is everything secretive? Like in the United States, when someone tests positive, we know about everything. We know what they took, how much they took, when the test, was taken that found the positive result. We know everything. Why is UCOD keeping all of this public? Now, the way they do things in the UK, they keep like the purses public. They keep a lot of stuff like the pay-per-view numbers. They don't release a lot of things to the public in the UK. So when you don't release information to the public, and then we hear bits and pieces, and you're not denying that there wasn't an adverse finding in a test. Eddie Hearn's not denying it. UCOD's not denying it. But you're still clearing the guy to fight, but you're keeping everything else secret. There was a hearing. Eddie Hearn asked Barbershop Conversations today, why did UCOD clear him to fight? And Barbershop said, I don't know. He goes, okay, you don't know. So apparently Dillian Whyte must have provided evidence that they were okay with, that allowed them to, enabled them to clear him, right? Okay, that's great, but what was it? So when you keep everything a secret, it just doesn't look right. Something looks fishy here. Something smells bad. Like, why did you clear him? You're not telling us. So my response to Eddie Hearn would have been, they're not showing full transparency. They're keeping it secret. So how would I know? Why wouldn't they just come out and tell us why they cleared him? What's the big secret here? So when you keep a secret from somebody, when you don't tell people the whole story, then of course people are going to ask themselves, why are you holding back this information from us? Automatically skepticism is going to set in. And for Eddie Hearn to just have this hands-off approach to it, not understand the skepticism, and basically defend everything, it's a double standard. And if the shoe was on the other foot, you have to ask yourself, would he have the same position? Because he didn't have the same position when it was Billy Joe Saunders. So that's my problem. My problem is they're not disclosing why they allowed him to fight, and they're not disclosing, how long this investigation is going to take place. And the B sample takes 24 to 40 hours to come back. Where's the B sample? Where's the B sample? Because in that Boxing Scene article, they're saying that this whole thing could take up to a year to get resolved. Well, if a B sample can come back in 24 to 48 hours, which usually confirms if the guy tests positive or not, then why would the process have to be dragged out a year? So most people are concerned with the process more than anything here, because the process seems to be a joke. And then Eddie Hearn comes out and says, well, he was being interviewed, and he's sitting there changing the subject, talking about, I've been all over the United States putting on shows here, and I'm surprised at how the medical care around, at the arena is lacking here with these U.S. commissions. Okay, so what about the drug testing protocol in the UK? Something that takes the United States a week to 2 weeks to clear up, and it takes the UK 1 to 2 years to complete an investigation. So, I mean, you can say what you want about the United States and the medical procedure and protocols here, but New York and Vegas have beautiful protocol for medical. They have ambulances and they have medics, and they do a good job in New York and Vegas. The thing that's different about the United States compared to the UK is each state has its own commission, whereas the BBC runs the whole UK. The whole country has one entity governing them. And another funny thing too is you have UCOD, who seems to supersede the BBC. So in the United States, the commission would override VADA, but it seems like UCOD basically handles the drug situation. They have the ability to hand out suspensions and whatever, and they determine whether a fight can happen or not. So what does that leave the BBC? So why even have the BBC then? Like, what does the BBC do? So that the whole thing's a mess. It needs to be cleaned up. And for Eddie Hearn to not see that and act all naive about it and not say, well, this is the system we have over here. It's not perfect. Maybe we need to change it. But he's like, oh, well, this is how we do it. They cleared him and that's that. Well, why did they clear him? Why? If the B sample hasn't come back yet, why is he cleared? Why? And that's the problem I have with the whole situation. It just seems very fishy, and at the very least, the system seems very flawed to me, in my opinion.
I don't understand, and I know it's protocol and everything. I get it. I get it. I don't understand how somebody tests positive for dianabol metabolites, right? And the other guy's not notified about it. They have a secret hearing, 3 days before the fight. They have this secret hearing saying, hey, what gives here? You tested positive. Where, what are you doing? And he somehow provides evidence of this. And they say, all right, well, you're good. You're good. You can fight. I don't understand how somebody tests positive before a fight. And that's it. And then you're still golden to fight. Why do we have, and this, I understand it's a UCAT. I understand it's a, another country and everything. Why put all these protocols into place then? If we're going to do this, I remember, what was it? I can't remember the guy's name, but he was, he tested positive for the clenbuterol. Mexican guy tested positive for clenbuterol. Well, it's consistent with the
was it Francisco Vargas? Francisco Vargas?
That was it. Yeah, that was it. It's consistent with the meat down there. So it's a common sense thing. He didn't have a lot in his system, blah, blah, blah. We'll go ahead and let him fight. Really? Then why are we testing? Why are we testing if we're going to let these guys fight? Given the fact that we had 2 people pass away this week from boxing-related injuries, and you're going to let this guy fight on steroids? You serious?
But here...
I don't care how many how much was in his system, metabolites, whatever. He tested positive.
But here's the thing, Eric. Is Dillian Whyte a scientist? What fucking evidence could he have provided to clear... what evidence... Hey. This is what I would love to interview fucking Hearn. Because Eddie Hearn's like, I'm not a scientist. I don't know anything about the testing. So what does Dillian Whyte know? Is he a fucking scientist? What evidence could he have provided to them? That's what I want to know. How could they have cleared him? And what evidence did he provide to them? The dog ate my homework? It's bullshit.
Yeah.
What evidence could he have provided to them if he's not a scientist, if he's not a fucking expert himself? So if you're not an expert, then Dillian Whyte is? He's able to fucking clear himself without being an expert? He's not a fucking sports medicine fucking Harvard, he doesn't have a degree in fucking sports science and sports medicine. How in the fuck can he defend himself? What evidence can he provide? Who did he bring to the hearing with him? He walked into that hearing by himself, without a lawyer, or did he have a lawyer with him?
Members of his team. They said members of his team.
So he had a lawyer with him. Okay.
I would assume, but I don't know.
Okay, he could have possibly...
He'd be stupid not to
He could have possibly had a lawyer with him. Maybe I misspoke there. I believe Eddie Hearn said he had a lawyer with him, if I'm not mistaken. Now, is that lawyer a scientist? Okay? Is he a scientist? Is he a fucking Memo Heredia? Is he a fucking, what's that guy, Victor Conti?
Right.
So, how are these guys able to defend themselves if the blood sample shows that there were metabolites in his system?
I really don't.
What's the defense? What defense could have been provided? Tell us. Fucking tell us.
Right. But, look at John Jones for the UFC. He's got, those metabolites or whatever, and I don't know, picogram. I think they call them picograms or whatever, that he's got in his body that he has from doing that stuff beforehand, and he's always going to test positive. Always. He will always test positive for that stuff. And they were like, well, it's a picogram, so it's on his way out. It's consistent with being on your way out of the system. It doesn't help him at any point. I don't care. He's testing positive. He is testing positive. He should not be fighting. Listen, the whole drug thing is in place with the banned substances. Beeb, let me ask you a question. If a football player tests positive for D-ball right before the Super Bowl, star quarterback, is he playing that game?
I'm gonna go a little bit off the reservation here. This is a little bit different, but I'm gonna tie it in like I always do.
All right.
I don't know if you've been following the Mr. Olympia, Sean Roden. You know Sean Roden, the guy that won the Olympia last year?
I don't know.
He was accused of rape by a woman. Okay? He's not guilty. They're in the process of doing an investigation. Just for the simple fact, whether this is fair or not, until they know for sure that he didn't do it, he cannot compete in next year's Mr. Olympia. And
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now that's a little bit harsh, but again, unless they can say with 100% certainty that Dillian Whyte is innocent of everything here, which they can't because they're doing an investigation, then why would they allow the fight to go on? What if the B sample comes back? And what if a fucking year later, they're saying they're not going to drag it out a long time. So what if they come to the conclusion that, yeah, the B sample came back, same as the A sample, this guy took fucking Dianabol. They backed themselves into a corner. When Eddie was asked with that question, he says, well, I can't talk about it. I don't know. I can't talk about it. So, you know what you should have done? You should have just not even fucking talked about it. If you can't elaborate and articulate your point intelligently, then shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. But what does he do? Has to always come out in front of the camera and talk. And then the more he talks, the deeper the hole he digs himself. It's a fucking no one in the boxing world, the community. Bob Arum was on stage with him talking about it, and he was fucking laughing at him. Nobody with a brain would try to defend this. Would say, oh, because by saying, well, they followed protocol, and you know, I had to put the fight on. I was under legal obligation to put the fight on. Now you could say that I was under legal obligation to put the fight on, but quite honestly, I really don't know what the outcome of this situation is going to be. And, you know, I understand UCOD had the hearing with him and they cleared him to fight. I don't know whether or not that was the right thing to do or not. I'm not going to say it is or it isn't, but I understand everybody's skepticism. Boom! Would you have been okay with that? I would have. But going out there and defending it and trying to say you're basically saying the right thing was done when it wasn't the right thing, because the legal thing was done, but sometimes the legal thing is not the right thing, okay? The legal thing is not the right thing. You could argue that this was the morally wrong thing to do, but it was the legally right thing to do. And he could have said that. He said, well, legally this was the right thing to do, but morally this could be the wrong thing to do because we don't know with 100% certainty that Dillian Whyte is going to be cleared here. I mean, he doesn't think when he talks. For a smart guy, he says a lot of stupid things.
Yeah. He
could have just said that. I repeat, you know, legally I had to put the fight on, but quite honestly, this was UCOD's decision. You know, if I was to pull the plug on this, then Dillian Whyte could have sued me, and I would have lost because he was cleared to fight. Blah blah blah. BBC didn't have a problem with it, but I can't say with 100% certainty that he didn't do anything wrong, and I can't say with 100% certainty that even UCOD did the right thing here. I just had to follow protocol. I'm not going to say I'm 100% with it or I'm against it. I have to wait for this thing to play out. But unfortunately, due to the way things work over in the UK, it's not the same as the United States. The investigation process is just different. And I have to accept that, whether or not I agree with it or not. Boom! Then that's how you handle it diplomatically, instead of trying to defend it, in my opinion. The guy he's just a PR nightmare to himself.
He really is.
Really is.
He really is. It's like I said, man. I go back to the fact that other guy was not that Rivas was not notified about this. The WBC was not notified about this. This is a big deal. This is not like
this was not
like he took some aspirin or something like that, or some Tylenol or whatever on the banned substance list. This is D-ball. This is a big deal.
But the big problem too, Eric, is I apologize for interrupting you here. This is my last point on the subject. The big point is, I would love to ask Eddie Hearn this question. If this fight was in any other place but the UK, would it have been allowed to take place? Because even in Russia, the fight wasn't allowed to take place with Deontay Wilder because VADA did catch him. Now here's another thing about VADA a lot of people don't know about. The funding that the WBC gives VADA isn't the greatest. They get $10,000 a month. And even still, some fighters pay for their own VADA, which is great. But when VADA has to travel to other countries, and they're not going to be able to test with as much regularity as they would if the fight was in the United States. So VADA probably didn't do testing closer to the fight where UCAD did. That's why UCAD caught them. So VADA doesn't have the resources, and they weren't in the, UCAD was right there. It was in their backyard, so obviously they could do more stringent testing. VADA has to travel. They got to send people to the UK. And again, I guess Dillian Whyte paid for his own VADA, but even with him paying for his own VADA, did they do an extensive amount of testing? Did they do the normal amount of testing they would have done if the fight would have been in the United States? Because generally, in a lot of situations, they don't really test as often as you think they do. And they're not really a true 365, 24/7. They're not. So what VADA does, and the amount of funding VADA has, and the amount of testing VADA does, really isn't as much as people think. So that's why UCAD caught Dillian Whyte and VADA did not. Because apparently they didn't do testing right up until the last week of the fight. That UCAD was testing like within the last week or the week before they caught him. I think it was the 17th they caught him.
Yeah.
That was like they caught him. I think the week of the fight, right? Because the fight was on the 20th, right?
The 20th. It was 3 days
so
before the fight.
VADA didn't catch him because they didn't test the final week of the fight, and UCAD did. So that was just a mere technicality, a mere timing issue. That doesn't mean UCAD's better than VADA. This just means, like I said, they're more heavily funded. The fight was in the UK, which is in their backyard. They were able to do more stringent testing than VADA was able to do. That's it. That's why UCAD caught him.
The crazy part is, now this is from Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn said when he gave an interview, and I believe it was on Boxing Scene, that they were talking to him, and he said that Dillian Whyte paid, it's up to the fighters to pay their if they want like full VADA testing, $30,000 to $40,000 to be in that WBC clean program. And he said that for this fight he paid them. Yep. My question is, I'm wondering, since UCAD caught it and VADA didn't, number one, did he truly pay the $30,000 to get tested, or were they just relying on the VADA testing? What do you get for your $30,000? I mean,
they don't do a lot of
testing them. I mean,
don't you hear fighters complain? Oh, we both signed up for VADA, and this guy's only been tested twice, and I was tested 10 times. Right? Have you ever heard that? Why do you think that happens?
Absolutely.
Because it's location.
Well, are they random tests, or what are they? I mean,
again, because if one guy trains out of the country, honestly, Eric, he's not going to get tested the same way by VADA as if he would if he was training in the United States.
Right.
They just
That's very true.
because they even with the 40,000, right, Eric? What about the traveling? Right? What about all the hotels and shit that they got to put up if they're going to stay? The people that do the testing got to stay there overnight, right? So again, it's even with the 40,000, how much is that 40,000 going to cover?
Yeah.
To do real testing, you probably need like 100,000.
It's crazy. Well, UFC is, like I said, they've got that USADA or whatever, and they've got like true, from what I understand, like 24-hour testing. Except, if you're John Jones, you test positive, and you get to fight anyway.
USADA just doesn't have the resources. They don't.
Yeah.
They're not. And shout out to Gabe Montoya because he's usually really been doing a lot of great investigation on this, and he's been saying this from day one that VADA is not true 365 24/7 because even he was saying 2 years ago that they just aren't getting the funding. Everyone says Margaret Goodman's a great woman. She has a good heart. Her heart's in the right place. But once again, it's called the Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency because they don't have funding. Where UCOT's funded by the government, I believe, over there. I believe they get paid by the government, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong in it.
That's what it sounds. No, I believe that's what it is. Yeah.
VADA doesn't. So
I think them and the British boxers, they're all the same thing. I mean, as far as being run by the government over there. All right, let's shoot to the phones real quick. 805, area code 805. You're live.
Hey guys, what's up?
Notch.
What? Nacho, what's happening?
Notch.
Yeah. Hey, nothing much. As far as the fights this weekend, I was a little torn on the Hooker Ramirez because that fight could have gone either way. And Hooker did a really good job of, hanging in there and giving Ramirez problems, and he was able to, at times really hit him and hurt him. But I think a lot of times people are underestimating Ramirez. I mean, a lot of people have always made the accusation that he's been kind of protected by Top Rank and that they've been sending him all his opponents to Fresno, and he wasn't willing to leave Fresno and go and fight somewhere else. And the fact that he actually went to Dallas and agreed to fight Hooker in his hometown, I thought was huge. And I think it showed a lot of people that he wasn't afraid to leave his home canvas advantage and go out there and win. And that combination that got Hooker at the end was just beautiful. He hit him with that left hook and then went out there and just hit him another 5-6 times before Nelson was able to step in and stop the fight. But I don't think the loss should diminish Hooker in any way. I think he went out there and he was competitive and he was in the fight until he got hit and he was stopped. But I think Ramirez looked great, and I definitely want to see if he gets the winner of Prograis Taylor, who were supposed to fight in October from what I've been reading. So, and with Prograis being there, Prograis wins, I think they probably will end up fighting, but I don't know. I'm still kind of torn about who's going to win that one because Taylor's, Taylor's pretty skillful, and he's a huge guy for 40. So it'll be interesting to see how Prograis handles what Taylor brings to the table. And as far as Farmer, I mean, the guy is who he is. Outside of the Billy Bibb fight when he won the title, he hasn't really been all that entertaining. And I think people who keep thinking that he's going to be entertaining are pretty much setting themselves up for failure from that standpoint, in that he's not going to be a guy who's going to go out there and take a whole lot of chances. His main thing is he's going to go out there, box, win rounds, and win a decision. He doesn't have power in his hands to stop people. So I thought it was kind of unfair that the fans were booing him and basically saying that, they didn't like watching him perform. You have to know who the guy is before you go watch him in a fight. You can't expect a guy who's not a knockout artist to all of a sudden become a knockout artist.
Point.
I think that's completely unfair to the fighter himself. But it'll be interesting to see if, who he gets next. Gervonta Davis, he fought a guy who was there. He was tailor-made for him. Although I do kind of disagree with you guys. I felt like the stoppage was maybe a little too fast, only from the standpoint of that when Harvey Dock was holding onto the ropes and right when he stopped the fight, Nunez looked over at his corner with a look like, what do you want me to do? Like, I still want to fight, but the referee decided to call it. And I think Paulie Malignaggi said the same thing. He said he felt like it was a bit premature. But I agree with what he said. I think because of what happened in Dadashev, I think the state of Maryland probably told a lot of their refs, if you see anybody even in the slightest bit of trouble, I think you should stop the fight. And I think that's what happened with Nunez. I mean, Davis did hit him with some really good shots, and he hurt him. But, unfortunately, the fight was stopped, I thought, a little too quickly. But, Davis was going to eventually get the guy out of there at some point. So, it is what it is. Although I did find it interesting in the post-fight conference that Floyd went up there and was saying that they are going to try to make an offer to Farmer to try to get a unification bout between the two of them. But he did bring up Gamboa's name, which I kind of expected as well. I'm not really necessarily anticipating that they're going to make that fight. I think they're going to end up going with Gamboa, to be honest. Just
I believe so too.
He's part of the PVC, and they don't have to negotiate with anybody else.
I believe
so. I have a feeling Gamboa will probably be next.
Too.
I think so too.
And yeah, and then with Gamboa, I mean, both of those guys to me are on their last legs, and it was just a matter of who was going to land on the other one. And Gamboa just had faster hands, and Rocky Martinez, you could see his legs were made out of cement. He couldn't get out of the way of any of those shots, and he ate them flush, and as soon as Gamboa started landing, it was over. So, I mean, it's a decent win for Gamboa, and it helps him get another payday, which is probably going to be against Tank, which is, I'm not sure that that's going to be the way Gamboa wants to go out. But I think that's probably going to be how it ends up. And with Martinez, I just hope whoever's in his corner tells that guy to call it a day. He doesn't need to get his head knocked off anymore. He's been knocked out on several occasions, and I think he's done. And and the last fight with Corrales and Miller, that fight was really tough to watch. But man, I don't understand that referee. You allow both guys to hold and maul and clinch and grab the entire fight, and then in the very last round of the fight, when the fight is up in the air, you decide to call a penalty on Corrales and take a point away from him for holding. I thought that was complete bullshit, and it ended up basically costing Corrales the fight. He lost a split decision because of it. Instead of it, if it had gone to the scorecards without the point deduction, it would have been a draw. So, and honestly, as tough as it was to watch, I thought Corrales got the edge over Miller because I didn't really see Miller doing a whole hell of a lot to him. But, it is what it is. And then you guys were talking about Dillian Whyte right now. I hate to say it, but I totally agree with what you guys are saying. I don't understand how the British Boxing Commission and UCAD were complicit in allowing Dillian Whyte to go out there and actually fight last weekend. I mean, you would think if a guy tested positive that you would have to inform the other fighter, let them know what's going on, and then let them make the determination whether or not they agree to fight him. I think that was completely unfair of them to not tell Rivas and his promoter what the hell was going on. And, I mean, it's kind of funny how he's coming out right now, Hearn, saying that both UCAD and Vada had cleared Whyte to fight. But the thing I don't understand is, if UCAD is the one who caught him, why would they clear him to fight 3 days later? That doesn't make any sense. That's the part that's got me scratching my head. Like, how do they all of a sudden turn around 3 days after they caught him and say, oh, he's fine, he can fight? Like, that's just completely bizarre. And I think something's up. And now I'm wondering if Rivas and his team won't ask for some sort of decision to be made as far as like maybe overturning it and make it in a no contest or something. Something along those lines. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that whole situation. I don't know. I know I didn't call in last week, guys, but I'm not sure when you guys are going to do the rematch. I was just kind of curious.
Today. Are you ready today?
Today? Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Beeb, are you ready?
I did 10 miles today. I'm ready for him.
Beeb has put in his road work. Beeb is ready.
Okay.
Nacho is ready. All right, guys. So here's the way it's going to go down. We've got some questions here on one topic. All right, one topic. And it's going to be the first one to answer the question. All right, like a lightning round. So I'm going to ask the question. You guys are going to give me the answer. The correct answer, of course, gets the point. There are
so
7
then how
questions.
do we buzz in?
You don't buzz in. You say the answer out loud. You let me know.
I say the answer?
You just say it out loud.
All right.
That's how it's going.
Okay.
Beeb, are you ready?
Yes.
The topic, gentlemen. The topic. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. 7 questions.
I'm already gonna friggin' dispute this. Why does it have to be a Mexican fighter? I'm only kidding.
We're going to do Marvin Hagler next, Beeb. Don't worry about it.
I'm only kidding.
That'll be right up your alley. All right.
Just playing.
First question. Who did Julio Cesar Chavez beat for his first world
Mario
title?
Martinez.
Oh, Beeb. Killing him already. 1-0 Beeb.
Right.
What weight did Julio Cesar Chavez win his first world title?
130.
130.
Super featherweight is correct. Beeb, 2-0.
Wait,
How many
I said
times
it
did
first.
Julio Cesar Chavez?
No, I said it first.
Yeah, Beeb got him. How many times did Julio Cesar Chavez fight Frankie Randall?
Twice. Three times.
Beeb, your first answer was twice. Nacho's first answer was 3 times. The correct answer is 3 times. He did fight him 3 times. 2-1. Keep the score at home. How many total professional fights did Julio Cesar Chavez have?
106.
113.
You guys are both wrong. It was 115. Still tied at still up 2-1 Beeb. Who was the last opponent that Chavez beat?
Wiley. Grover Wiley.
Ivan Robinson.
Beeb says Grover Wiley. Nacho says Ivan Robinson. If Nacho is correct, the score is tied now at 2 with 2 more questions left. Nacho, you are correct. The score is now tied. 2 questions apiece, 2 questions left. How many different weight divisions did Chavez win titles in?
4. 3.
3.
Beeb, your first answer was 4.
Yeah, but if I beat him with my second answer, I still beat him with my second answer.
No.
Are you serious?
No.
So
I'm dead serious.
But you
Nacho says 3 because we can't do this. We can't do.
But he still has to beat me though.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and Nacho
Yeah,
gets
but
out 3.
we should at least. That's not fair, Eric. I got it with the second time.
That
No, seriously, that's not right. I beat him.
first, but look.
But you have to say.
But
You have to say the rules.
you're yelling out multiple answers.
But you have to say because before when we did this game, you said that we could correct ourselves. But you have to say.
You can. This is a speed round.
But I still beat him with my second answer though.
I get that. But that being said,
Chad, is that right? If I beat him with my second answer? Let's vote on it with the chat. That's not right.
That's right. Beeb, that's completely right.
All right, the chat says it's okay. Okay, good. I'm filing an appeal.
3. Nacho, now in the lead at 3-2. Beeb has a chance to tie. How many wins did Julio Cesar Chavez have?
87.
102.
Beeb says 87 wins. Nacho says 102 wins. Gentlemen, neither of you are correct. 107 wins is the number of wins. Nacho, you have won the speed round 3 questions to 2.
Good job, Nacho.
Congratulations, buddy. Good stuff. Go to Twitter. Go to Twitter. Friend me or Beeb at Ringside73 or JHabib1. And then we can do an inbox or whatever. We'll get your address or whatever. We'll send you a shirt.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
I'm going to send you a shirt, Nacho.
Absolutely.
But this is what one person said in the chat. He said Beeb gave the answers to, but I don't believe this because I think he knew the answers. So I'm not even going to read that. That's not right. Good game, Nacho.
Good job, Beeb. You had me sweating it there for a second.
That's good. He came out. I tell you what, I was surprised. Beeb came out fast. He came out lightning fast. Those 2 first ones, those were good. Martinez, that was a good one.
No, I didn't give him the answer.
Right.
I didn't give him the answer, Beeb. I didn't give him the answer. He knew.
Gave him the answer. No,
I don't believe
that would imply.
I think he knew.
He's
a smart guy.
Yeah, he absolutely.
Honestly, I don't buy that. I think he knew.
If the chat is saying I'm cheating, I'm willing to say
no. You won.
On Marvin
you
Hagler.
Won fair and square. You won fair and square. You won fair and square.
Yeah, that was good, Nacho. No, I think
I'm going to put Nacho. Go in the chat. I'm going to give you my email address. Email me your contact information where I can send the shirt, and I will send it to you.
All right.
Eric's right though. Because if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now I understand where he's coming from. That's right. That's right. That's correct. Because then you could say, well, how many times did you do this? 1, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's not right. I get it. Right. I apologize. I just get too amped up. When I'm under competition, those competitive juices just stop flowing. I can't help it. This is what happens when you're an alpha male. But
this is one thing I do know about Beeb. He cannot stand losing. He hates losing.
I dialed it back. Lois was looking at me, giving me the signals, giving me the calm down signal. When she does that, that just gets me right back.
She was giving you the signal.
That just gets me right back into the line.
I like the speed game. I got to be honest, man.
Let's do like this from now on.
But I will tell you this. It is, the speed game does favor you in the sense that there is a slight delay. There is a slight delay on the questions when he calls in via, now if he was on Skype, it'd be a different story. But if, when he calls in on Blog Talk, there's a slight delay, but it does, it's one of those things where the delay is so slight. You either know it or you don't know it. You know what I mean? And if you're able to get the answer like that, those first 2 questions, it's all good. You know what I mean? I think that's good, man. I love the speed.
I want to do the speed run from now on. The Beeb has been beaten.
The Beeb has been beaten. Jason in the chat said Lois is getting beat up tonight. Some Beeb on plastic crime. All right. Let's see what we got here.
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
Georgie.
Hey, yo! What's happening, people?
What's happening, Georgie?
Brother. Put the kids away because I'm not having it. What is going on with all these fucking junkies left and right? Hypocrisy. Oh, but this guy is juicing. Then all of a sudden the same guy talking shit is popping off. How many shots did he got? 2? Yo.
Beeb, how many substances
They're
did
saying
you get
2.
popped with?
I want to
One
say
was
anabolic.
anabolic, have any information
The other
on
was
it?
the other one was a methane something. Like I think it was a stimulant. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a stimulant.
Listen, man. This is the problem here, because this is when the divide comes in. So I just going to try to calm down, try to get the message across. These motherfuckers, yo, we got to go conspiracy theory, man. This is fucking reptilian activity at its best. This motherfucking got no boundary. All these Abadicassi, Saturdays, and that, listen, anybody at any given time is sold the fuck out. Bottom line, we're being infiltrated, people. It's down to that. These people, they got tentacles all around the whole shit. When Paulie said that 90% of people is juicing, man, listen, you gotta listen to the man. When you guys gonna interview Paulie? Crickets! Slipping! Hey, yo, my people, when the fuck Paulie coming to the show?
When is what?
That's when we get introduced Paulie Malignaggi.
Paulie Malignaggi! Paulie! Fuck's sake! No fire and spirit, man. You guys, I don't know what's wrong with you, man. We should be on arms. Up on arms. Yo, you know the fucking nerd gonna rate Area 51? Hashtag let's see them aliens. What about let's rate the fucking WBC and God and Bout and all these fucking places? What about that? Where the fuck is the FBI collusion investigation on that shit? How the fuck you gonna not tell the other party that the other side is juiced up and let him go inside the ring putting his life on the line like that? I mean, baby, I don't know what type of rules we're talking about here. I just I know these shit not the same laws in the United States. But brother, that shit falls out of the tree. I mean, how this shit could even be possible? Anybody got any statement from these fucking vampires?
No, it's a crazy situation, man.
Nothing coming out of the lodge. Those Masonic lodges. Yo, shout out to them reptilians. We know empathy for humanity. Doing anything for money and power. You son of a bitches. Coming for you. Anyway, yo, listen. Where's that WBE bill? You got it there, Eric?
I'm not the champ anymore. I don't have it here.
Oh, you get to keep the belt. They mailed me a new one. I'm getting the diamond belt shipped to me via eBay. I told them I wanted a diamond belt.
Listen, so we gotta do something to it. It cannot say no WBC, cannot represent none of these fucking mafias. The WWE
we gotta have a Ringside Reporter belt created.
Eric has represent more than these fucking conglomerate force combaggery. How the fuck we gonna fucking be flashing this shit? How? If you don't buy, I need a commitment right now from both of you guys. Got this shit for the people. Hello?
We're listening. We're letting you go, man.
Don't buy no fucking belt. I don't want you to buy no fucking belt. We keep flashing the WWE. Until these fucking conglomerates fix their bullshit, we not flashing nobody's fucking belt. We got our own shit. In the WWE, they put their fake shit, but at least let us know that it's fake. The fucking thing that these motherfuckers cook over there and the evil part. These motherfuckers are wizards, B. It's straight up demonic motherfuckers. I'm telling you, no empathy for humanity, reptilians. Scum of the earth. Right there what Eddie did. Yo, man, come on, bro. That's something that I always agree with fucking Beebs. When he used to get mad thumbs down, talking shit about Eddie. But I know Eddie just as bad as Al and Bob and the rest of them. We as a fan, we gotta take it from them. Somehow, somewhere, we're getting out of these fucking hamster wheel and fuck you and all these fucking junkies that they got out there and the whole conglomerate gotta come. Let's find out who's the real one, man. By real competition without that juice. Yo, I want Paulie Malignaggi on the show. Get that shit on ASAP. I gotta go. Jason is a bitch. Waiting for his call. Anyways, I'm out.
Jason didn't do anything wrong tonight. Why is he getting called names?
I don't know.
Wow,
man.
that's not right.
Those two have been going at each other on the chat. That's messed up, man. Wow, Georgie going in hot on Jason, man. What's that about? Crazy. Crazy. All right, let's get back to the news here. Actually, you know what? Before, I know what I was going to tell you. You were talking about buying the eBay belt, the one eBay belt or whatever. You know what's funny? My son Antonio, whose belt that is, the WWE belt, came to me and said, he says, you ought to send that belt to Beeb now.
No, he didn't.
Let him have it for a little while.
Well, how did he? Oh, because you took the pie. He knew I was a champion. How did he know I was a champion?
Yeah, because he saw. He
watched it.
He watched me
So
he's
been following what we were doing. Okay.
Yeah, so
I got
he knows
you.
what's going on. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's insane, man. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I thought you get a kick out of that. All right, let's see here. 706, Jason, you're live.
Guys, what's up with all these conspiracy theories, man? I mean, you guys missed the whole, the big point of this, why this thing went forward, why he got a special hearing in 2 days. Did you guys read Frank Warren's article? He said in the regular rules for the UCAT and BBOC, it takes 7 days to get a hearing. But the fucking pay-per-view was 3 days away, so they gave him a special hearing. And, my fucking...
Wow.
The only thing that makes sense is...
Scoop Jason.
Listen. The only thing that makes sense here is the only person that stood to gain from this was Whyte and Eddie. They didn't want to lose a fucking $2 million payday. They were both going to make millions. If Whyte is pulled off the fucking card, they're going to still have the pay-per-views. I mean, Allen and fucking Price, they're not going to sell as many pay-per-views.
Jason.
So, that's why they didn't tell Whyte. That's why they didn't tell Real. I said, nobody, you guys aren't really talking about it. That's the only reason.
We didn't know about that.
Everybody,
I didn't know about that.
Well, you didn't read the Frank Warren article? Go to his Twitter. He posted it.
I'm gonna read.
He said
Jason,
it takes 7 days to get a hearing. 7 days.
Remember Canelo? Remember Canelo? It took him how long did it take Canelo to get his hearing?
Yeah, it's just obvious. They could have hit that fucking test. He's way bigger than fucking Dillian Whyte. They stood to lose way more money, Beeb. And fucking Eddie Hearn was only going to lose like $1 or $2 million if he pulled out Whyte. Do you see that shit? That's a level of dishonesty of the Hearn family. And you guys should know, we never like to talk about world history. There's a reason why the fucking British used to rule the world, because they're masters at deception and distraction. All this fucking UCAT procedure, he's got you guys bogged down in that fucking bullshit. You shouldn't even be talking about that. You should be talking about how did you get a special hearing in 3 days? And this motherfucker is telling AB News, you don't want to tell the guy 3 days before the fight that the other guy had an adverse finding. It's psychologically bad. Can you believe that shit? He had the nerve to say that shit. He's like, he used that word psychologically. It's not the right thing to do, just to protect himself. He's like, oh, it would have been bad. You don't want to tell somebody. And that fucking punk Spencer Fearon says, I think it's good that they didn't tell him because he could have pulled out of the fight as if that's not his right to do. I mean, these guys are so fucking they're so patriotic. They're just blinded by everything. In America, it's not really like that. We're not that patriotic, We're not that wrapped up around our flag like in England, in these countries. That's what it is, really. Spencer Fearon, the guy that's respected, is coming out and saying, "Oh, I think it's good they didn't tell fucking Oscar Rivas." Can you believe that shit? I mean, that's fucked up, man. That guy could have, and it's the week after 2 guys just died.
And this is the second time this guy has popped. And last time he said it was a contaminated energy drink. This time, that's the only excuse. And that Karen A. Tate writer said that last time when Fury popped his test, UCAT didn't even reveal his substance for a year. In Christian Hammer fight, he failed the test before the Hammer fight, and Hammer didn't know he was dirty. So they've done this before. So it has nothing to do with me, This is just so UCAT only cares about UK fighters. They don't really care about the visiting fighter. That's what people need to know, and that's why Aaron said the UK Commission's reputation is on the line. That's all that matters here. Eddie's fucking distracting people with all this. UCAT procedure, this, that. He got a special hearing because he's the biggest promoter in that country. And what just happened this year? AJ got knocked out, the biggest fucking cash cow he has, right? Can you name another pay-per-view star that Eddie has right now, Beeb, besides AJ and White? Is there anyone?
No. This is the best call. This is your best call.
Got knocked out.
This is your best call of all time.
Yeah, if AJ got knocked out and White is the only UK star they have, that pay-per-view has to go on, right? That's the only pay-per-view event they have.
Yeah.
If that shit gets shut down, what else do they have? That's the only reason I see this show going forward. If he had Kell Brook as a pay-per-view star right now, maybe they shelve it, but he has nobody else. Kell Brook is on the shelf. Josh Kelly, Katie Taylor just fucking lost. Who else is going to do pay-per-view? AJ's missing. I don't even know where the fuck AJ is. I haven't seen that guy in fucking months. He's in hiding or something. So
a milk carton.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, we need that new milk carton. Did you guys see the size of the crowd at did you guys see the size of the crowd at Tank's fight?
At where? Tank's fight? Over 14,000.
Yeah. But did you see how big it looked on TV? Like from the front row to the top of you know how in the Yankee Stadium or Cowboy Stadium till the fucking roof they were filled up, dude. That was badass. This was his first fucking fight there. 14,000. And the Showtime didn't do a lot of promotion. They did they did 3 or 4 videos on YouTube. That's it. They didn't do any all access or not much promotion really. This kid had 200 amateur fights, in that local area. That's why he's so well known there. All Baltimore is really boxing friendly. They follow that sport a lot. And have you guys seen the show Wire? His coach, his life is the base of the story for Cuddy in that fucking show. The boxing coach in The Wire. It's based on Tank's coach, Calvin Ford. Did you guys know that?
No.
The boxing coach on The Wire, really?
Yeah. You remember? Did you see that show? Cuddy, right?
Yeah,
Cuddy,
I remember that show. I remember the dude. Yeah, I remember the dude.
Yeah. That's Tank's coach's life story. His coach went to jail for doing that shit, Then he came back and started coaching kids. You can Google that. Hold on one second.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. Jason, man. That's why he's caller of the year.
Yeah, Google that.
This is his best call of all time. If he keeps calling, if he keeps giving us calls like this, he may get his wrench back. No. Let's not get crazy.
Let's not get crazy. Yeah, that's a little.
A lot of control tonight. A lot of
having wrenches. They're putting people in timeout. That's fucked up, dude. I'm only supposed. Dude, where's my intro?
Like what you used to do.
You can leave Robbie in there since we're.
we gotta redo your intro. We're redoing it.
All right. What about
the production?
Gamboa looked pretty good.
The production crew wants to. The production crew wants to.
Gamboa looked kind of sharp, didn't he?
What's
Gamboa looked kind of sharp, didn't he? Gamboa looked kind of sharp, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's not gonna look sharp against Tank.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't know why they poured water on Gary Russell. I'd like Gary Russell versus Tank more than Farmer. I think Farmer is just a nothing. Gary Russell's way more talented than fucking Farmer, isn't he? Wouldn't that be a better fight?
I like that fight better, yeah.
I like the fight better, yeah.
Yeah, I think that.
Like Gary Russell called him out too.
That's a bigger win.
Yeah, Gary Russell called him out too.
Dan Raphael reported that Eddie doesn't want to sign Gary Russell anymore. Eddie was trying to sign him, and also now they were saying Mikey was trying to sign with DAZN. Go ahead.
Yeah, he said Eddie Hearn said that he didn't want to sign Tank. I'm glad you brought this up. Not that he didn't want to sign Tank. He didn't want to sign Gary Russell because he said that basically Gary Russell he's fighting once a year. And he thinks he's happy with that. Yeah, and
I've been telling people, and dude, everybody knows this shit, man.
So
everybody knows this shit.
Tevin Farmer, 9 fights.
Didn't Eddie know this?
4 fights in 9 months.
It's keeping him busy. It's keeping him busy, and if he wants to stay busy, he can, But they're going to want him if they sign him with DAZN. I think they're going to want him busy, and he doesn't want to be busy.
How busy has Canelo been? Like 2 fights?
Well, he always fights. Typically anyway, with the twice a year fighter.
And GGG, what's going to go with him, man? I mean, they don't even mention Charlo, right? Have you seen that? Like GGG acts like Charlo doesn't even exist. He's focused on Munguia as if he's done something at 160. That's kind of fucked up, I think. Manny's out here fucking fighting Thurman at 40, and isn't that fucked up? Manny just fought Thurman, who's undefeated champion, and GGG doesn't even mention Charlo. Isn't that fucked up, dude? Like, look at the mentality, though. Like, look how fucking upside down that is. Like, Manny wants to be great at 40, and GGG doesn't even give a shit. He's not 40.
Yeah, but that being said, though, I mean, how feasible is that fight I'm making? One's on DAZN, one's on PBC.
Yeah, but dude,
it's not even
Al did the deal. Al did the deal for Jacobs. Al made the deal for Jacobs to go to HBO to fight GGG. I mean, if Charlo wants it, he can get it. I mean, you know,
maybe.
And I think just like dude, Thurman's a bigger star now than he ever was. Like, his social media is up, everything. Like, every time I see a video on YouTube, there's like hundreds of Filipino fans like praising Thurman, saying you gained our respect the way you fought and all that shit. So he's getting a lot of fans, and I think Charlo could do the same if he goes over there and has a good fight. Even if he loses, who cares? I don't expect him to win, but I think that's a good thing. He should. I wouldn't mind if Tank went and fought over on DAZN, but I don't think if you're PBC now, you build a star like Tank. Would you want him to go to DAZN and help DAZN get a couple 100,000 subscribers? I wouldn't. That doesn't make any business sense, does it? I wouldn't.
Tank ain't going to DAZN. Yeah, they've got a lot. My guess is they've got a ton invested in Tank right now. They're talking about him being the next pay-per-view star, et cetera, et cetera. Him bringing in 14,000, man, that's a lot. That's a lot of people.
Sam Cassell was there last night too. There's a bunch of rappers there. Sam Cassell was there. That Casanova rapper was there. Like a bunch of fucking pop stars, all the, you know, like R&B stars. So he's like the best. He was on World Star last night.
Out, man.
Yes, his highlights on World Star had like 400,000 views. So all that shit is good. They're making him the new Broner. You know, they're making him the new Broner.
But let me ask you, what do you think about Tank fighting, you know, because we said that this is mandatory. We'll give him a pass. He fought Ricardo Nunez.
That guy was tough, man. The first 2 rounds. Dude, listen, that guy was tough. The way he came out the first 2 rounds, I was kind of nervous the way he was hitting Tank. Tank just caught him in the clinch. He got lucky, nervous. I think, kind of. That kid was tough. Like, he was hitting hard.
He was nervous.
Yeah, he was steady.
Come on, son.
I don't know. I wouldn't have stopped that fight, dude. Dude, I wouldn't have stopped that fight. Listen,
please,
dude. I wouldn't have stopped.
Keep your hands up, Tank. Please keep your hands up.
I would have given him a count. That guy was sitting on the ground. That guy was sitting on the ropes. I would have given him a count and made Tank knock him out, like, literally, you know. He kind of saved him a little bit.
Tank, please, Tank.
And Harvey Dawkins kind of jumpy. He's known for early stoppages. Shut up. Because of fucking homos.
Tank, please. When you cut your gloves off at the end of the fight, Tank, can I have the laces?
You guys are more obsessed with Tank than Ellie Segback, dude. Ellie Segback's channel is full of Tank videos. It's like 100 Tank videos.
Tank. Don't get hit in the lips,
Tank.
Tank.
Can I have your jock strap when you're not using it?
What are you going to do with your socks, Tank? What's wrong with you, son?
You guys need to leave these gay jokes for your private convo. It's not the show, man.
Tank, can I jump in the jacuzzi with you after you finish training?
Tank, you look like you need a rub down.
Tank, you don't have to hire a masseuse. I can help you out.
What is this, Golden Boy Promotions? What is Golden Boy Promotions conference call? That's what
I got some lotion for us, Tank.
You guys should have asked Nacho who's more boring, Ray Vargas or fucking Farmer. You know, he didn't call him and bash Ray Vargas last week, but now he's bashing Farmer about his fucking style. Remember Ray Vargas versus Tomeki Komeda? All the Mexicans were booing him and shit. That's what Farmer got because he was in Texas. You know, Mexicans have no patience. Like, they'll start booing you in 2 fucking rounds. Like, oh yeah, man, you feel like you're getting booed.
One action, baby.
No, I don't like that, man. It kind of ruins the event. And in places like England, they never boo. They might not cheer for you. They won't boo you. In Japan too, they don't boo you. That's only in fucking America and Mexico. It's kind of sad.
What would you do if they started booing Tank?
They boo Woodley all the time.
How would you feel if they started booing Tank?
He has a 95% care ratio, you moron. What do you mean they're gonna start booing him?
Nobody boos.
Just saying. What if he was being interviewed after the fight and he said something they didn't like and they started booing him? What would you do?
Tank or Wilder or Spence have never been booed in their lives. I don't think
Nobody boos Tank. He's my man.
My Tank. Talking about.
All right, man. You can go toss off the Tank, man. We're gonna move on to the next caller, buddy.
My Tank.
My Tank.
I got sunshine when me and Tank got together. It's cold outside. I wrap my arms around Tank.
I can't wait to tweet Tank tonight. He did so well. Tank.
Imagine Tank followed him on Twitter.
Oh, Jesus. Can you imagine?
You
won't follow him.
Can you imagine how sticky his monitor would get on his computer?
His keys, like, I can't need a new keyboard. Like, I can't
get a new keyboard.
Beeb, where do the best calls come from?
OH! IO!
IO!
OH!
OH!
IO!
Oh,
you're live. There it is, Ohio in the house.
Ohio.
What's up, guys? What's up, man?
What's happening, man?
What's going on, brother?
Pretty good. Been busy myself. Been a little busy, but love the show, man. Tonight, I was just Jason. Great call, man. He was trying to convince that Tank Davis was in a tough fight. Come on, man. We all knew what was going on with that one. That was funny.
Tank, be careful. He's getting close with the
I
right.
didn't even think it was good. You said what?
I was saying, Tank, be careful. He's getting close with the right hand, Tank. That's Jason.
I like Tank. I think he needs to step up. So I think it's time for him to step up and get a big fight. I mean, he's showcased fights enough of them already. I'm like, golly. I mean, you know, I do want to give a shout out to Floyd Mayweather, who set and recognized, you know, where he gave, you know, recognition to Adrian Broner, who discovered Tank. You know, once again, somebody from Ohio, you know, discovered the talent. So, you know, give us our props. You know, I love that. I love that. Give us the props. Tank is a pure talent. He really is. But he has to step up. It's time for him to get some of these fights with Leah Santa Cruz or, you know, Abner Maurice. I think he beat Abner Maurice. I don't know if just be a name. He's a good name. But I like to see him with Tevin. I like to see him with Tevin Farmer. I just seen I heard that Tevin got booed. I didn't see his fight, but I heard he got booed. And, you know, they said I'm reading a statement now that he said, I'm reading a statement. He said, more entertaining, like take more risks and more punches to the head just to be another fighter to suffer from brain injuries and possibly die so I can be forgotten about a few months after. No. I dominated last night. Came home to my family, unmarked and well. This is what he posted on his Twitter. And I agree with Tevin to an extent when you got guys going because you're not really out there taking risks. But from a promoter's point of view, those make it hard for you to sell fights to people when you're not entertaining. Sometimes you don't even have to be entertaining in the ring. You can be entertaining leading up to the fight. Problem is we don't have that many Floyd Mayweathers. We got Adrian Broners who can take a loss, but yet people still want to see Broner. He's entertaining. You know, he's entertaining, and as a promoter, a guy that's helping you trying to promote the fight, you want people to be entertained when they come to fights. See, I'm in Ohio, and I do co-promotion, and I help promote boxing. But it would be hard for me to sell a fight to somebody who's never been to a boxing event and tell them to come see Eris Orlandi Laura, when it would be more easier for me to sell one to James Kirkland. You see what I'm saying? Like, hardcore respects the Sweet Science. There's nothing wrong. I love Sweet Science. But I can't give that to somebody who don't really know about boxing. I can't sell that to them. They want to see a street fight. They want to see what they watch in high school fights. This is what they're trying to see. I got friends now that we used to watch with Floyd Mayweather that don't know about boxing, but they be like, why he never got no KOs? How's he winning? You know, these are just little questions that you have to break down and explain to them because they don't know the sport.
Well, we have way more casual people than hardcores. So sometimes you have to be able to be entertaining in the ring, not just taking more risks and putting yourself in harm, but you gotta make it be known that you're a force to be reckoned with. Sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with boxing. I don't have no problem with street signs, but from a promoter's point of view, you got to look at it at different point of views. From a promoter's point of view, it's kind of hard. We want you to be more entertaining because we're out here trying to sell you. People that don't see, that's just the only thing. I agree with Tevin on that, but to an extent. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but that's just how I see it.
I do. In fact, I mean, when you said that Tevin Farmer, that's what he posted on social media. I'll tell you right now, that kind of stuff makes a promoter cringe. You know what I mean? It has to make a promoter cringe because I can't sell that. The guy doesn't want to get hurt. He's boxing. He's fighting another guy. I mean, listen, I understand. Listen, I understand where he's coming from. I completely agree with him, but it's not the kind of stuff you say out loud. Nobody wants to see a safety first fighter. So you don't want to, advertise yourself as such.
And you know what, Eric, behind closed doors, but a lot of people don't know about some of these fighters. We have a lot of undefeated fighters who don't get deals because they're safety first fighters. We got guys that's 19-0, 20-0, 32-0. Some of y'all have never heard of them. I can give y'all a list. They would never get deals because they're safety-first fighters. They're not entertaining, and they're going to be on the shelf. And then you have some fighters who around the 16 and 17-0, go inactive for 3 to 4 years because small-time promoters don't want to put them on the card because they're not entertaining. Yes, you're 17-0, but I don't want you on my card. If you is on my card, you're going to be the first fight. Well, I'm 17-0. I don't want to be the first fight. No. You're not the main event. People don't understand that. They don't see this. This is some of the stuff that goes on behind closed doors. You have a lot of fighters who's safety first, which is okay, but that's the risk you want to take, and you got to be prepared for what happened. You have a lot of fighters who sit on the shelf, and the promoters do not get them because of this, the way Tevin is speaking out loud. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you're stinking up the place sometimes, it is what it is. I tell a lot of guys that I'm straight up with the guys down here in Ohio all the time, and I respect that because some of them ask me, hey, how was my performance, this and this and this, and I will let them know. So there's a lot of respect, but at the end of the day, you want to draw more people. My job down here is to draw people who don't watch boxing as much and get them back into the sport. That's what I want to do. That's what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just wanted to get y'all opinions on that, and I appreciate it. But I didn't have too much
absolutely,
to say.
Man. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, man.
Yeah, that was just my call, man. I didn't want too much to say tonight. I know I'm ready for that Sean and Earl Spence. I know it's in California, so I'm definitely going to be ready for that one. That's going to be a fun one.
Up.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
for sure, man.
It's going to be Earl's toughest. It's going to be Earl's toughest opponent by far. It's going to be his toughest competition. People thinking that he's going to walk through Sean. I'm laughing. And it's so funny because Earl Spence, his best win was, they saying Mikey now, but, Kell Brook. Kell Brook was the name, but Kell Brook's best win was Sean Porter. So, people calling Sean trash, but that's another topic that we'll be coming soon. So we'll be talking about that. But I'm going to listen to the show, man. I'm about to get off this phone, and I'm going to be listening.
Amen.
Thank you so much, man. Ohio runs boxing. Marcus Knoll on Facebook. Go follow him. He's got every day he's posting stuff on Ohio fighters and stuff like that, and people from Ohio. It's great, man. Go follow him on Facebook for sure. And you know what? I agree with him. Tevin Farmer, who do you want to watch, Beeb? Do you want to watch Tank Davis or do you want to watch Tevin Farmer based on just last night's performances?
The thing is this. I like a technical fight just as much as the next guy. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I enjoy watching Tevin Farmer. I like guys who I like guys who can feint. I like guys who can make you miss. I'll be honest with you. I think people are a little bit too hard on Tevin Farmer. I just think he's a good boxer. Is Tank more exciting? Absolutely, but the thing is this. Boxing is not just one style. I mean, I appreciate all styles, and I don't dislike what Tevin Farmer does, to be perfectly honest with you, because people used to say the same thing about Bernard Hopkins. They used to say the same thing about Pernell Whitaker. They used to say the same thing about the Klitschko's. They used to say the same thing about guys who like to not get hit. No one likes to get hit. I mean, I don't think anyone really likes to get hit, but it's not like Tevin Farmer doesn't throw punches. It's not like he doesn't outbox guys. He's not running away from people. He's feinting you. He's making you miss. He's counter punching. I don't know.
But let me ask you this: if you're a promoter, let's say you're promoting Tevin Farmer, and he comes out with a post like that, that's cringeworthy. I mean, it really is. I mean, how do I promote a guy who claims he's going to be safety first?
Did he use the word safety first?
What did No, he did not use the word safety first, but that's clearly what he was implying.
Well, Andre Ward used to say
it's okay to be like that.
Andre Ward used to say
it's okay to be like that.
Andre Ward used to say the same thing too. He's like, I'm not going to sit there and take punches just and shorten my career just so people can say I'm excited.
Yeah.
So.
But Andre Ward didn't make that big kind of money either. He wasn't making the big dollars.
He made $5 million for Kovalev. Making more than Tevin Farmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I understand, but
Farmer, but he comes.
I understand both sides. I understand both sides of the argument because I can't tell you what to like. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. I'm just gonna say that for me, a lot of guys like people used to call Andre Ward boring. I used to love watching Andre Ward fight. Ruslan Lara. I like watching him fight too. Well,
Pernell Whitaker, we liked watching him, and I like the same thing. I like Lara, and I like fights like that. But from a promotional standpoint, in like he was saying, you got guys that's 17-0, 32-0, and they're not top billing because they fight a certain way, and I get that. But when you come out and people criticize you for being that way, steer away from it. This is why these guys need publicists. This is why this guy shouldn't talk. He should let his publicist talk or somebody else because he says this stuff. And again, it's like, why would you say that? When people are already criticizing you for being bored.
Floyd used to say that stuff too. Like
90 seconds.
Well, I don't want to take damage in there. There's been a lot of fighters that's like a lot of people call Floyd boring. Used to call Floyd boring too. But
yeah, Floyd's a lot more charismatic though than Tevin Farmer.
Yeah.
I think we can agree on that for sure.
But we're talking about in the ring though, so
yeah. All right, let's get back to the news here. Canelo looks like he might face Sergey Derevyanchenko next. The first bid was held for the IBF portion of the title. The mandatory is Sergey Derevyanchenko, and they are actively negotiating for this fight. Beeb, do you like this fight if it comes to pass?
I don't. The thing is this. There were so many other fights that I would have liked better. But in all honesty, it's not a horrible fight. It's not bad. It's not a horrible fight, but the thing is, it's not Golovkin. It's not Kovalev. It's not Andre. So.
Well, listen, man, I'll tell you what. You know me, and you know how much I did not want a third Golovkin fight. I would have rather seen a third Golovkin fight than to see him fight Derevyanchenko. Put it that way.
You didn't want the Golovkin
10
fight.
seconds.
I did not want the Golovkin fight at all. And it's not that Derevyanchenko is a bad fighter. I just think there's so many better matchups for him out there. I think this is kind of a waste of time. I really do. I think Canelo beats him. I think he beats him pretty substantially. I don't know.
So you can see Derevyanchenko going the distance. It's possible.
I could see it going the distance. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The thing is, man, when you're at that level, they're all tough fighters.
You can't blow everyone out.
Yeah, they're all tough fighters, man. They're all tough fighters. So and people they have these knockout streaks going, and not that Canelo had one, but I'm just saying people have these knockout streaks, and they get to a certain point, and they're like, he hasn't knocked anybody out in a couple of fights because he's fighting better competition.
Like when he had those 2 fights with Canelo, he did.
Right, and then he fights Jacobs
and the 2 Canelo
fights Canelo, and then it's he's going up in competition. You can't beat everybody.
No, you're right.
Like that.
You're right.
Sad week this week, man. 2 boxers passed away from injuries this week. Hugo Santillan passes away from injuries, and Maxim Dadashev actually passed away on Tuesday from injuries. Just a sad week, man. And a lot of people have taken notice this week, and like a lot of the mainstream media have come out and said, hey, maybe these guys should wear headgear. Maybe they should do this and do that. Listen, I don't know a lot about what could make the sport safer. What I would suggest is going back to same-day weigh-ins.
Yes.
I think that's a no-brainer because people cut way too much weight. They have 24 hours to hydrate back up, and they started that as a safety precaution, to have that 24-hour period to get the fluid back, the brain, and everything like that. But there's too much there. I think, you're looking at people that are cutting 20, 30 pounds, and that's a lot of weight. And, you talk about the weight bullies and everything like that. I don't know if headgear would work. I don't know if headgear would work. I don't know. Bigger gloves, I don't know. But I think that would make a big difference as the weight cutting right now is kind of out of control. Going back to the same day weigh-ins, I think would be a step in the right direction anyway. Beeb, any thoughts?
Well, one thing really, 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 really bothered me, and I was at a pool party yesterday, and these people really weren't boxing fans, but they were kind of casual boxing fans. And this topic came up too. And they talked about the Russian gentleman who passed away, Maxim Dadashev.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how Buddy McGirt was in the corner begging him, please let me stop the fight. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was getting angry talking about it because the problem is with these trainers is they're there to protect the fighter. So ask Buddy McGirt, if that was his son in the corner, would he have asked his son, please let me stop the fight, or would he have just stopped the fight? Because a trainer is almost like a father to the fighter. He's there to protect him. He's there to, you're basically a father figure to the fighter. You're there to take care of him. So if it's getting that bad where you're begging the guy, please let me stop it, just stop the fucking fight. You never, this is what aggravates the fuck out of me. And Robert Garcia does it a lot too. And I love Buddy McGirt and I love Robert Garcia. But the one thing I hate with both of them, now when Buddy McGirt had Paulie Malignaggi fighting Ricky Hatton, did he ask Paulie Malignaggi, can I stop it? He just stopped it. Right? Yeah. He just stopped it. He didn't ask him. So in a situation like this, where you're begging the guy to stop the fight, if you ask a fighter, can I stop the fight, 2 things happen. If he says yes, you make him look bad. Why put him in that position where you're going to make him look bad? Okay, it's a threat. It's a threat to his machismo, right? Why? And then it gets picked up on camera. Then everyone hears him say, "Stop the fight," right? It's a bad look for the fighter. So why would you do that to your fighter? Put him in that position, number one. And here's the flip side of that. Most fighters aren't going to tell you, yes, stop the fight, because they don't want to be perceived as a quitter. People say, I want to go out on my shield, I want to die in there. So it's your job as a trainer to stop the fight. Like when Muhammad Ali was fighting Larry Holmes, if you go back and you listen to that stoppage, when the referee goes in the corner and Angelo Dundee says, I'm stopping the fight, and then Houdini Brown saying, oh, no, you can't stop it. And the referee is sitting there saying, well, what am I going to do here? What do you want to do? He goes, I'm the chief second. and I'm stopping the fight. That's what he said. And that's the great Muhammad Ali right there. And the Boudini Brown basically didn't want the fight to be stopped. He was another second in there. He goes, I'm the chief second. I'm stopping the fight. So I'm a little bit pissed off at the fact that with these trainers who ask the fighter, should I stop the fight? No, just stop the fucking fight. Stop the fight. That's it. It's like with Margarito when his eyes fucking flapping and hanging off in that Pacquiao fight. I know we talked about this before. I remember that. After the fight, he had to get an artificial lens put on his eye because of the damage that was put on his eye in that fight. Now, if Robert Garcia said, "Oh, I wanted to stop the fight, but if I did, I was afraid in turn Margarito would kill me." So that's the wrong answer. And then some of these trainers have these fighters who are their meal ticket. And I know these fighters make millions of dollars, and they don't want the fighter to turn around and fire him. That was something that we talked about at the pool party too. That's what someone said. Oh, what about the guy? What if they're probably afraid they're going to get fired by the fighter, right? All this is bullshit. All this is bullshit. Just step in and stop the fucking fight, and that's it. No more asking the fighters, can I stop the fight? Should I stop the fight? Take fucking control of the situation as the trainer and stop the fucking fight. That's it. It's that simple.
You know, and to your point too, it makes a quitter out of your fighter if you ask him, hey, do you want to continue? When you know you're going to stop the fight. I mean, when Buddy McGirt says, I'm going to stop the fight, is that okay? If he says yes, then he's going to be perceived as quitting that fight. And that's not something he's going to do. The Margarito thing, I remember that fight. The Margarito Pac fight. That fight should have been stopped. I don't think there's any questions about that. That fight should have been stopped.
Without question.
You know?
Without fucking question. You see his eye?
Oh, it was terrible.
His eye was flat. The fucking tissue on the top of his eye was flapping off of his fucking face.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. And that's the thing. Like you said, I mean, if you ask the fighter, then you make a quitter out of your fighter. Don't even put him in that position.
Stop it.
It's your job to not put him in the position. It's your job to make sure he is protected, you know, and he receives proper instruction and all that other stuff. But it's your job to protect your fighter. And a lot of guys aren't doing that now. You know, it's just a shame.
How does Buddy McGirt feel right now, do you think?
Oh, man. Could you imagine? You imagine that on your conscience? Because knowing that you know, and now you're thinking about it, hey, should he have stopped that fight a little bit earlier? If I was 1 round or 2 rounds prior and I stopped that fight, does he end up here? I don't know. Now he's got to live with that. It's tough. It's a tough situation. Don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah.
But some people got to deal with it.
Shame. It's fucking, it hurt. It fucking hurts my heart, man. It hurts my heart.
Two boxers this week, man.
Hurts my fucking heart.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And, you know, we talked about anybody, and again, man, we go back to that fight earlier with Gervonta Davis. Anybody who thinks that was a quick stoppage, dude, you need to reevaluate, man.
No.
And, I mean, when he hit him with that left hook and his head snapped back, it was almost like he got shot. I mean, it was just like, boom, man. I mean, he looked like he got shot in the head.
Now, let me ask you.
Listen.
Let me ask you this question.
You got to stop that. Yes.
Let me ask you this question. This guy, Jose Mendoza, in the chat says Monday morning quarterbacking. You and I have done live casts together.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard me yell, stop the fucking fight. Several.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard me say, ref, what the fuck you doing? Stop the fight. You've heard me, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So this has been my stance all along. So I don't know what he means by Monday morning quarterbacking, but I've always had this stance for many years.
Listen, man, I called it in the Pacquiao fight. Now, Glenn, you know, when we were talking, remember the Pacquiao fight when he got hit and he was getting hit from rounds 4 on consistently.
You didn't like the fact that he couldn't get away from the right hand.
That right hand.
Didn't like it, yeah.
And when you get hit that flush with those right hands, man, that ain't good. That ain't good. And I said, man, his corner better be taking a look at this unless he can pull something off here, man. You can't be hit that solid. And as far as Jose Mendoza goes, you know, listen, Yeah, we're Monday morning. That's what we do. I mean, that's kind of, that's what we do. We review the news and everything like that. So, in a sense, we are Monday morning.
Many times,
but this is stuff we believe in.
Many times in fights, we sit there and scream at the television and stop the fight. So we always do that. We've always done that. We've always done that. This is one thing that you and I, we disagree a lot, but we pretty much agree on this.
Yeah,
we're on the same. We've always been on the same page with this,
for sure.
So,
yeah, I mean, it's you don't ever want to see this or have anybody put in this position. It's never like this is a life altering position, not just for this guy's family and the boxer's family and everything, but what about that trainer? I mean, again, man, you think about Buddy McGirt, man. If you're McGirt. And you wake up in the morning and you're not second guessing what you did, or second guessing going out there and managing somebody else, that's a big deal, man. That's a huge deal. And that's on his mind. Should I train anybody else? Am I qualified to train? Even though he's a good trainer, it's tough. It's not cut and dry, man. All right, guys, the train wreck of the week this week. Jose Benavidez arrested for drag racing. This just came in today. According to TMZ, Benavidez, who fights as a welterweight, was busted on Saturday night in Maricopa County, Arizona, where he was taken in and booked for 1 count of misdemeanor racing, exhibition of speed, and 1 count of driving with suspended or revoked license. How's he driving a car with a suspended license? What are you doing?
The amount of people that do that is like crazy.
It's insane.
Because once you get caught, then the suspension they suspend it for 30 days. You get caught again doing it, then it's 90. Then it's 120. Then after the 120, they could take it for 5 years.
Let me ask you a question. And if you had hypothetically, if you had your license suspended, would you violate and go and drive a car?
I'm not going to lie to you. My license was suspended before. And my dad had to drive me to work. My dad had to drive me.
Right, but
this is
but you didn't drive the car.
No,
but you didn't drive.
I was 25. I was 25.
Yeah. All right, so you didn't drive the car.
No.
But because why? Because you were scared to get caught and scared to get it suspended again or go to jail or whatever. Yeah. See, that's how normal people think.
Yeah.
If your license is suspended, that's how.
And they always catch you.
I don't want to.
They always catch you.
Always.
My friends used to fucking drive with the suspended license, and we'd be in the fucking car, and for whatever reason, no matter what, you made a fucking left turn without putting a blinker on. Something fucking minuscule as that, right? Yeah. They see like five. They see like 5 dudes in a car. We're a fucking target. Boom.
It's insane. It's insane. You're always going to get caught, especially when you're drag racing. Now, drag racing doesn't mean drag racing could just mean you're trying to pass somebody or you guys, you're going at an excessive rate of speed, that kind of thing. Doesn't mean he was actually racing with somebody. But, if you're on a suspended license, at least follow the rules of the road. At least follow the law, the speed limits and stuff like that. I don't know. Did you ever notice if you ever got a speeding ticket, that as soon as the cop goes back to his car, it's not like you're speeding the rest of that day. Your dial is 4 miles under the speed limit at that point. You're slow, I don't get these guys, man. I don't get it. Evander Holyfield's son, signs with Main Events. So Kathy Duva's got Evander Holyfield's son. Your boy, Chavez Jr., Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., returning August 10th to face Everett Bravo. Beeb, you and I do the show every week. We dive deep into the boxing news every day. We're constantly sending each other articles, constantly researching fighters. Have you ever heard of Everett Bravo?
Is he related to Johnny Bravo?
He might be.
Is he related to Eddie Bravo from Joe Rogan?
I'd rather see Chavez fight Eddie Bravo than see him fight Everett Bravo. I think Eddie Bravo would kill Chavez Jr.
Yeah.
Not in a boxing match.
To answer your question, no, I've never heard of him.
Speaking of Chavez Jr., his dad, Julio Chavez Sr., was robbed at gunpoint. Chavez wrote on social media this week, quote, "I've just been the victim of a robbery with a pistol to my head. My watch and chain were snatched. There's no question that your life can be gone in a second. The insecurity in Mexico City is enough to make you weep." Jeez. It's rough down there in Mexico, man. Tell you what. Gets a gun pointed at his head and everything, man. Oh, no. And everybody's favorite sports announcer, Stephen A. Smith, has been injured. Stephen A. Smith apparently underwent rotator cuff surgery after he got injured boxing. A lot of people don't know that he boxes, I think, to keep in shape and stuff like that. But, yeah, he had a torn rotator cuff, but don't worry about it. He'll be back in no time. He'll be back at the desks. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1 and find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. I'm at Ringside73 on Twitter, and we will see you next week.